Okay. So, yes, so welcome, as I said, just quick couple of instructions and then we will begin. First and foremost, are you all able to see me and hear me clearly? Is that audio and video fine? Okay, excellent. Thank you for that. That's great and good to know. So the first information rather than instruction is just because there are many people from different backgrounds and different places you may be at as well, and there could be different types of noise coming in. So I'll kind of keep you on mute in the beginning. Every half an hour or so, I'll open up the allow you to unmute yourself, and we'll have a discussion of sorts, right? So yeah, so I'll be a little loud, and I would recommend please have a headset or a headphone. Then it'll be easier for you to listen as well. Akshata, is this okay? Can you hear me now? Okay, cool. So if at all you have any problem in audio or video, please give me a shout out and I will see what I can do to fix the problem. I think all the issues have been sorted. So ideally, once I start the class, there shouldn't be a problem. Having said that, as I said, every half an hour, 45 minutes, I'll open up the forum for you to ask questions because I would like to hear you. I don't want to just see you type questions. You're welcome to do that, by the way, during the class, in between, or in the breaks, etc. as well. You're welcome to ask me questions, right? So clearly, yeah. So one of the things that happens though is when I'm taking the class, if you ask me questions which are totally unrelated, then I might not be able to answer it right away. So my request to you is, as I'm taking the class, if you have any questions on the topic, please ask. If you have questions about placements or about the training, about the timing, all those other aspects, my request is ask me when I open up the microphone, and or allow you to unmute yourself, or at the end of the class, right? So at the end of the class, we'll have a 15 minutes discussion, and you can go about asking me any question that you may have. So why are some of you saying that I'm not audible? Is that so, guys? Because I see that my microphone is working perfectly. And I've tested it as well. So all fine, right? Okay, cool. So if for some of you it's not audible, maybe see if you can, exit out of the class and come back in again, and or put a headset, and that should kind of help, right? So I have not prepared any polls today. I will do that tomorrow. One of the things I wanted to ask you is, are your physical classes starting? Has a decision been taken? If yes, just maybe some of you can type in the dates as to when your physical classes are starting. Is that announced already? I see, October. Okay, good. So, okay, fantastic. Somebody said today, not just the classes, physical classes, you going to the college. Okay, cool. So October it is. I believe there is also a petition to counter that. Some student body has, informed that, to push this out because of the COVID reasons and whatnot, right? So we don't know what's going to happen, but till October you're here. So the reason I ask you is because I know you're attending a lot of classes, and you're doing from home remotely. The online classes will continue. Okay, for this batch we will do all classes online, and even if, let's say, the government gives us freedom or instruction to, or they allow us to open the sessions or classrooms, they haven't yet. Even if they do that, I believe the first month we should not meet up, because there will be 300-400 people coming from different areas sitting next to each other. I feel it will be too cumbersome, and it's very easy to catch the virus. So I would say that this entire batch will be conducted online. If for a miraculous reason we get some vaccination or something and we don't find any problem, I'll conduct the classes physically, and those of you who are wanting to come physically can come, but at the same time we'll conduct it remotely also. So for all practical purposes, you can assume that the classes will be available remotely, A, and B, every session will be recorded. Okay, so as of now we are just starting. So I know some of you have attended four or five classes, but as we go along, you will see in another week's time we will make you register to our video portal and Uttara portal, and you can log in and access any and every recorded session, right? So I will be recording classes of your batch only. So whatever I do will be recorded and you can access that. right? So that's one of the Philips benefits that you get. Yes, you can get the recorded videos, as I said, and you will have access to it even for about 3 months after the course finishes. Okay. So once the course completes, you will have access to it for about 3 months, right? So there are a lot of important information I want to share with you with respect to placements and whatnot. So I will share that with you as we go along. But those of you who are 2020 pass outs, be ready and be serious about the learning that you're going to gain here and elsewhere, etc., that you're learning, wherever you're learning as well, because already we have a pipeline of companies and 3 of them have guaranteed to look at you guys on October 1st week, right? So already we have a huge pipeline. I am trying to ensure that they come and look at us only after we have finished about 2 months of training, because that's when you would have had enough practicals. So there will be practicals. Every topic that I'm going to cover will be practical based. A, I will demonstrate, and B, I will be giving you instructions of what you have to do on your own in your laptops. And we will have an open session where you can ask me questions. You can share your screen. I can help you out. There will be lab instructors. It's more or less like how it will be for live, right? So the idea is that we cannot lose on any benefit or we cannot have disadvantages in this mode of training, right? We should get everything that we would get physically plus more, and that should be the benefit. You can attend the class anywhere, get the recorded sessions, and at the same time still do practicals. This is not a theory oriented course, and I don't believe that you can learn anything theory oriented. If that was enough, then clearly our college would have been enough, you see. And 4 years of training is not enough. Why? Simple reason: we don't get enough practicals, right? So 2021 batch, 2022 batch, I know we have a set of people who are from there as well. So obviously these companies will not recruit you now, because they all expect the people who are shortlisted to join immediately, right? So the few companies that I told you about who have already, so you know, in placements you have day 1, day 2, day 3, etc. in colleges. We have similar thing. So day 1 slot is already taken by a few companies in October, and we're not going to invite everybody in October because we won't be ready. There is no point in inviting them unless we have really mastered programming very well. And so to 2020, 2019, 2018, all of you are eligible, right? Only thing is, those of you are 2021, 22, you can take up our tests, showcase that you are good. A, we will help you in internships, and B, once you finish in 2021, then you will be eligible for placements, right? So you can come back to us after a year and we'll be happy to push you for placements. We have all kinds of companies who give, you know, 20,000 rupees per month to 1 lakh rupees per month, right? So it totally depends on your capability. Nothing else matters. How you do in this course, how you do the practicals, how do you do the tests. We'll have regular tests. Again, this week we'll take it easy to begin, but otherwise every Saturday there will be a test. And how you do the tests will be super important. It will contain both you know, theory as well as practical oriented questions, and we will measure you guys. We'll put you in different buckets, you know, people who are really good, people who are you know, have the potential to be really good, people who are ready, and people who are not, and so on and so forth. And depending on which bucket you land into, we will have different guides or instructors who will help you, right? So some of you might need more hand holding in programming, in the fundamentals. Some of you might, you know, who are really good, I would help you to build some projects which I don't normally give it to everybody, right? So at the end of the day, the aim is very simple. This course should equip you to become a really good programmer in Java, Python, and JavaScript. Now, when I say JavaScript, I ideally want to talk about TypeScript, which is the wrapper on JavaScript, which is more important according to me. So either which ways, these 3 are the programming languages which we will address, and we should really become very good at it, right? No compromises. We will start from scratch. However, I don't assume that you will know programming already, but we will start from scratch and we'll go in depth. Yes, I will give you material. I'll give you material in terms of every single day, what we have covered. I'll give you questions on each topic, some material that I have written up, some diagrams that I have written, etc. And every single topic will have materials, right? But remember, try not to miss the class. It's even though it's virtual and you know, you can go through the recording and whatnot, please try not to miss the class, you see. And my strong recommendation, and I'll just give you this kind of information in just today's class. please see if you can lock yourself up in a room, right, where you can just focus on the class. In the beginning and all, it's going to be easy, especially if you're from computer science background. I know many of you are. It is going to be simple, data types, variables, memory. You have heard of all these words, but very soon things are going to become more complex. The moment we start programming, the moment we start using data structures and whatnot, right? So ideally attend the class every day. Don't miss a single session. I can make a blanket statement for you. These 2 hours or 2.5 hours you're going to spend every day is going to be more more worth your time than any other training you would have done. That much I can assuredly tell you, not because I am good. It is just because I've been doing this for 15 years and we have placed thousands of people. We know exactly what the companies need. We know exactly what is needed for you to become good in programming. That's why. It's sheer experience. All right. So yes, of course, I'll cover Angular. Angular is based on TypeScript, and we will cover that as well. Really, this is the only course you need to do. If you just do this fully, I promise you, you will be a person who will become who will be really, really sought after, right? And I promised you this earlier too, that if you do everything we ask you to do, you will be able to pick the kind of companies you want to get into, be it product company or service company, this kind of company, minimum salary. You will be able to pick it up. And by the way, right now, the situation looks a little grim that some companies are letting go of people and all that. It's just a couple of months down the line where the hiring is going to kickstart like anything. We're already getting word from many companies that we are tied up with. We are tied up with at least 200 of them. And all of them are telling us that, they're just waiting because certain opportunities should open up in US, certain clearances has to come forth. And I'm pretty sure by the end of this year, all the openings will boom, will come back in a huge way for us. As it is, I can tell you this blanket statement again. If you do well in our tests, we will place you without a shadow of doubt. Whether you will join or not is up to you, but we will place you for sure, right? So I know some of you are asking me about some, timings and all that. So today the class is 5:30 to 7:30. So let me continue with that. I'll open up a poll and find out if everybody is open for having a class from 6 to 8 or 4:30 to 7:30 or whatever. And at least I need 2.5 hours with you guys. Otherwise it doesn't work. All right. So I'll open it up, and depending on the poll, we can take a decision. If some of you are having some overlapping classes, either you can join after 15-20 minutes, or you can leave half an hour early, but make sure you go through the recording the same day and make sure you're on top of the topic. I'm telling you this, it's very soon after, if you just attend the classes for 3-4 days, you will understand the value that you're taking from the class. And I'm sure you will move everything else to make this class happen for you. All right. So, and don't worry, and about aptitude and other things, I will share with you. All right. So these are not just demo classes, guys. These are actual classes, right? So I'm starting off. Already I've started off, 4 or 5 classes are over, but these are not demo classes. Actually, live classes have started. If you want to consider this as a demo class, you can. Soon we'll open up, there are 2 kinds of people here, apart from the bucket that I told you about earlier. There are people who we have reached out through your colleges. So for you guys, we have some free training that we are giving. And for those of you who have come from other way around, it's basically that you know about us and you reached out to us, and that's the second group of people. Either which ways, it doesn't matter. So the course duration is 3.5 months, right? So it's a hard thing to do, to finish a 400-hour training in 3.5 months, right? So I'm going to push you a lot. I'll physically take classes every day. Maybe in the first week, we'll have 3 days, 4 days, but otherwise 5 classes minimum, sometimes 6 as well. I will ask you to do certain things over the weekend, etc. And I'm telling you, you just a few classes in, you will realize the value. And once you see something of value, you will put in your time and effort as well. If you do this, I promise you, you will not recognize your capabilities 3 months down the line, right? So let's make it work, guys. Let's get started. Enough of the general stuff. I just said all this because there are some of you new. I know some of you have heard it already. Thank you for being okay with my repeat. All right, so let's begin, guys. So welcome to batch 99. This is the 99th batch I'm conducting. Some of you have raised your hands. If you have any questions, please type it out and I will answer. My request, let's, just listen to me right now, right? Whatever are your questions, hold on, all right? Otherwise, I'll simply keep answering your questions and we'll waste off the time. Let's begin the topic, right? So next half an hour, let me just focus on the topic. Then you can ask me questions. And at the end of the class, you are welcome to ask whatever doubts you have. I'll spend time with you, all right? Okay, excellent. Now, let's begin. So since I said that, we have already covered some basics. So those basic sessions, what I've covered, those of you who are new, I'm going to give you those sessions. You can easily go through it. It's just a few hours long and you can easily catch up. All right. So even today's class, you will be able to understand. All right. So let's begin the topic on hand. Where are we? Now, those of you who have attended earlier, I'm sure you remember, we started off the discussion with an introduction to the languages. You see, introduction to the Java language specifically, right? So we are going to start the learning with Java language. And in parallel, many places I'm going to be talking about Python as well, but we will focus on full-fledged Python after I finish core Java. So I'm going to give you the timetable of the course. What is it I do, how long, and when will be the practicals, and everything will be open for you. Just allow a couple of days so that this batch, formally gets registered and everybody who is coming in will get locked. And then I will go about giving you the timetable so that you are aware. Having said that, we start with Java. Learning Java deeply is going to give you tremendous benefit to become very good in Python as well as JavaScript. You see, tomorrow you might work in Python development applications or JavaScript, maybe on the client side, server side, or many of you, I'm sure, half of you at least will go into Java, right? So either which ways, Java is a very good starting point. So that's what we discussed first, introduction to Java language. Then we had a quick introduction to object-oriented programming, right? So we discussed about what is an object. The object is nothing but a thing. It has some state and behavior, and you have similar things and dissimilar things. Either which ways, how are things created is based on a design. It's like iPhone. There are iPhone 11 or whatever is in the market. There are a million or 10 million or 100 million iPhone 11 models, that iPhone 11 devices that are there, but all of them are similar. You can take anyone, make a call, watch a video, do whatever, right? But at the same time, how many designs are there for that is only one. So the design is what we call as a class, a template. Once you create the design, using the design, you can manufacture the objects. How many objects can we manufacture using one design? Any number. And we call them similar objects. But then you have a design for Maruti 800 car. You have a design for a monitor. Now they are different designs. When you use different designs and create objects, you get different objects, isn't it? So two kinds of objects we see in the real world: similar, dissimilar. Similar objects come from the same design. Dissimilar objects come from different designs. We had a brief introduction to O. I'm going to be spending 20 hours on this in the coming days, to 20 classes, sorry, in the coming days to explain further. Then we talked about introduction to a Java program, right? So that's where we talked about which program. What is the program we built? Nothing but a simple Hello World program, right? We built a very basic program where all we could do was, install the Java software, build our code, compile it, run, and just be able to print Hello World. If some of you have your videos on, please switch it off. It'll help others conserve bandwidth also. I should have looked up the settings. Tomorrow I will do that, and I'll see if I can have all of your videos be turned off. My humble request, please turn off the videos, guys. And one of these days, we will have a video session where we will do an open discussion. So I'm big on discussion, guys. I do not like conducting classes like a monologue. So I want it to be a dialogue. So every once in a while, we will have an open-ended doubts clearing session. You can ask me any question in the topic, out of the topic, etc. And we will have a free discussion-oriented session. Also, I'll be conducting some mock interviews with you guys. So we will do this. Everybody will get to see me and the one who will be taking the interview. And after that, we will compare results, what went well, what did not go well. Actually speaking, this remote way of learning, there are a lot of other benefits which we can capitalize on, right? So anyway, you will see that as we go forward. All right, so this is what we have finished so far, right? And those of you who are new, don't worry. As I said, I'll give you this recorded sessions. You can go through it. It's all very simple. Now, we want to really jump in, okay, and start off with the next topic. Now, before I simply start off the topic, I want to give you an idea of where we are headed. You know, as we have talked about the so-called goal-oriented methodology, you need to know where you are headed. Then is when you have a clarity, okay, you can take the next step and see whether you are going in that direction or not. So very quickly, I'm going to tell you what are the classes I'll be talking about, or what are the topics I'll be talking about this week, right? So once we have built a basic Hello World program, we know what is the structure of a basic program. It's not that we know Java fully. It's not that we know fully how to understand all those words and buzzwords and whatnot, but we can understand a look and feel, right? So for those of you who are new, this is a sample Java program, right? So public class hello world, and you have public static void main. Anyway, I'm going to talk more about this in the coming time and days. So system.out.println hello, okay, or whatever. Now, if you look at this code, this is a sample Java program. Now, again, there are so many things we might not know about. You know, what is this public? What are those? What is a class? What are these? You know, flower braces? Why is this semicolon there? Why is this fellow there? Why is this fellow named args? Why is this main? System.out.println. Can I have only println? Can I have only out? Can I remove this out? Can I change out to in? And can I have system instead of system? Can I have runtime? Meaning, remember this: if we are going to learn a programming language, if you're going to spend time, you see, many of you, you know, will be worried about fees of a course and whatnot, and I would be as well. But remember, the real thing that you're putting here is not your money. It is your time. And that is invaluable, because the same time you could have put it in something else, but yet you're choosing to come and attend this class, which means it should give you multiple times your benefit. What you could do in 2 hours. If I can achieve in the 2 hours the same thing that you could do in 2 hours, then what's the point? So at least there should be a 10x benefit, right? If you have 10x the benefits that you get, then there is value. You will see that we will probably hit more than that. But when will that happen? Is when we know, master the language, we know exactly why each word and each semicolon is there, right? We are not going to assume anything. We are going to learn everything each step at a time. But for now, for today's class, I want you to understand that a program is nothing but a series of sets of a bunch of instructions, as we called it, correct? Instructions are what? Commands. They are a set of commands we give to the processor of a system. We are a set of commands which we are going to automate some logic and have it be executed. So question comes, in any programming language, you need to type the command somewhere now. Where is that? That jaga, that place where you write the commands is your main method. We call this main as a method. It's a function. Many of you will recognize it with these round brackets, right? So in the main function, we don't call it function in the Java world. I'll tell you why. But it is inside the main where we write statements. Each statement is terminated by a semicolon. You can have any number of statements. Now, for the sake of today's discussion, if you are new, don't worry about this class, don't worry about this main, etc. Just focus on the statements. So whatever we code in main, here is where we'll be coding, statement 1, statement 2, etc. Each statement will be terminated by semicolon, as I said, like this. And it is these set of statements that will get executed. All right. So that means if once we have understood, sorry guys, once, oh my bad, where did that go now? Yep, there we go. So once we have understood the structure of a program and the place where we can type the statements and commands, the next thing to learn is what is the unit statement we can code in a language. Now please note, although it will seem like we are learning Java, actually what we are learning is how to learn any programming language. You see, there is an art of learning itself. If you can master how to learn, today you're learning this, tomorrow in a company, they might ask you to learn Dart language. They might ask you to learn some Go language. How are you going to do that? Very simple. I'm going to give you the blueprint of how you can learn any language. And not only I'm going to give you the steps, we'll apply the same steps for Java, Python, and JavaScript. All right. So, yeah, you will get the recorded session. Some of you have network problems. I would strongly recommend, see if you can fix the network problem. If not, don't worry. After the class is over, immediately I'll put up the recorded video in the group, right? In all the groups that you belong to, and you can access it. All right. So we're going to start with what is the unit statement of a language, right? So we're going to learn that today and or begin the discussion today. Then once we do that, we are going to be learning about the different data types of the language, the different types of variables, right? And importantly, once we have done that, so think about it at a high level. What did we say? We will start with, we understand where we are going to write the commands, and we'll start with the basic command first. You will see what is the unit statement is nothing but an ability to create a variable. That's what I'll be starting off with today. We'll understand data types along the way. What are variables? I'm sure all of us know. What are variables, guys? Let me ask you. I've been talking for long. Usually, I would like to discuss. So, what is a variable, guys? I'm sure all of us know about it. Just type it out, maybe. Anybody? What's a variable, guys? Containers can be changed. Object to store data. Very good. Varies. Very good. A variable is one which varies. You see, the name is there or the meaning is there in the word itself. That's good. So we are going to be starting off with variables, and you're right. A variable is nothing but a box in memory. A box in memory in which you can store data, right? Exactly as what you guys have said, right? A box in memory where you store data. Obviously, question comes, you know, what memory are we talking about? What type of box we are talking about? What can we store in that box, right? Like, for example, you have a milk box, a milk carton, you store only milk, right? If you have a petrol can, you store only petrol there. And clearly you don't want, you know, one day you want to go and get milk from a place, from a shop, and you don't want to run and take the petrol can there and say, anyway, I like petrol smell, so I'll put milk there and I'll drink it. That's really stupid, right? So obviously, we need to know how variables function, right? So that's the very basic thing. Why is it a basic thing? Why is it that that is the unit statement? If you remember back to our definition of a program is nothing but a set of instructions, yes, no doubts, but to which what is given is data. What do the set of instructions do? Manipulate the data. And once the program finishes, what does it do? Outputs a data. I'll repeat, what is nothing but a program, and don't worry about writing these things, guys. I'm going to give it to you. All right. So a program is nothing but a set of instructions, right? To which what is given as data, to which data is inputted, if you will, right? And the data is transformed based on a logic, whatever the logic may be, right? And the output and the result gets outputted. I don't like to use inputted, outputted words. It's crazy, but I'll just let it be there. So this is it, right? So a set of instructions which accepts some input data, transforms it based on logic, and outputs it, right? So that's what a program is. Now, which means what is centric? What is the first thing we need to learn? The jaga, the place where we write our instructions. Next, how do I store data? And how do you store data? Are in variables. So that's why in any language you learn unit statement you can learn is that of creation of a variable and the associated data types. That's what I'll start off with today. Okay, once you have learned variables, what do you do next? Well, data is sitting in these boxes in these variables. Now, next we want to manipulate them, change them, right? Change them and manipulate them. Guys, if you have any voice, if my voice is breaking or anything, please check your internet, because I'm having a very fast internet and I don't see any problems with my end. Yeah, so thanks, guys. So what were we talking about? Yes. So once you have data in variables, what do you do next? Manipulate them. And how do you manipulate them? Is by learning about operators, right? Every language will give us a bunch of operators using which you can change the value in the variables. Now, some of you might be thinking, especially computer science guys, sir, I know all these things, operators, plus, minus, blah. But remember, it is not just knowing how a plus works at a high level that is important, it's knowing in depth. I promise you this, you would not know how a plus works fully. You will see the plus functions completely differently in Java, Python, and JavaScript. And it's important to know in detail. I'll show you by examples, right? So next is we'll learn operators. Once we have understood operators, then we will understand how, how does the program function? As we said, a bunch of statements will write in your main function, and all the statements are executed in what order? One at a time, isn't it? So typically what we call that one at a time approach of execution is by what we call as flow of control, the way the program gets executed. And we would want to manipulate that. Don't worry, I'll explain flow of control today itself to you. So what do we have to manipulate the flow of controls? Are control statements, right? It's like how we do things in our daily life, guys. Everybody knows this, right? Like for example, I live in a house where the door, it's a self-locking door. You just pull the door, front door, and it locks, right? If you want to open it, you have to put in the key, turn it, and then open it. But the thing is, the lock of my door has a mind of its own. Sometimes you put the key properly, you turn properly, the lock will say, I'm not going to open today. And it doesn't open. You have done everything right. And you are not unable to open the door. And I keep trying. And sometimes, depending on how frustrated I am, I'll put my leg and, down, and then turn and whatnot, right? Because the damn thing doesn't work. Now, here's a question to you. If I'm standing out of the door and I have the key and that's the right key and I want to go into the house and that's my objective, what should I do? What should I do? I should obviously follow a series of steps. What are the steps? Put in the key into the lock, try to unlock, correct? Yes? Actually, I want to hear from you. What do you think I should do? What do you think I should do? I have the lock, I have the key, the lock is on the door, and I want to enter the house. What should I do first? Anybody? No. I should go to the correct house. I'm standing in front of my house, man. I'm not standing in front of somebody else's house. Try to unlock, isn't it? No, first is I need to check whether the door is already open. If the door is already open, I should not keep trying, no? Yeah. So that's the first condition we check, whether the door is already open. If the door is not open, then you're right. Try to put the key in and try to unlock. But here is the thing, I told you my house now is a little hooch lock, right? So it might open, it might not open. If it doesn't open, what should I do? Should I just go to hotel? Hi, today my house doesn't want me. Let me go and stay in a hotel today or in a friend's house. Knock. Let's imagine. Try again. Very good. So obviously I have to try again. How many times I should try? As many times until a condition is reached, isn't it? No, don't break, man. If you break up the front door only, what is going to happen? Then Kalla will also nook into the house. Jokes aside, what we are doing here is nothing but thinking in terms of instructions of a program, right? Until the door is locked, you perform a series of instructions, keep on doing the same thing until the condition is reached. Everybody understands from a programming point of view, this is nothing but a dash control statement, if you will. Loop. What loop are we talking about? Which one? Not a for, a while, isn't it? While the door is unlocked, insert the key, try to unlock, right? That's it. This is, and you keep on doing this until the condition gets reached, the door opens, right? In whatever way. It's a very silly example, and I know you know this. Bottom line, what are those? Control statements. Every language has core, fundamental control statements. Again, surfacially, we will know all about it. For, while, if, every switch, whatnot. But in depth, especially the places where we make mistakes. And how do I apply these correctly for problems? Remember, we are not interested in only the language. We are interested in solving problems. So we'll take up a whole bunch of problems, many of which will be asked in interviews. I'll call out the companies, this company asks this kind of question, this company asks this kind of question, etc. So that you'll be able to better, relate to it and remember as well. Anyway, that's what we learn next, control statements. And then we are going to learn a very, very important topic, which we'll hit by the end of, by the mid of next week. We are going to learn steps to program. What are these steps to program? Basically, given any problem in any language, how do I come up with a foolproof approach to solve it? You see, your programming should not be an, as they say in Kannada, no, alak bulak, right? It should not be based on your previous knowledge. Like, I've already solved this problem, so if the same problem comes, I know how to do it. But if a different problem comes, I don't know how to do it. That shouldn't be the way. We should know how to approach any problem, whether we have solved it similar one or not earlier, we should still be able to crack it. So what is the methodical approach that we can follow to solve a problem? Now, again, it totally depends on the kind of problem we are looking at. Initially, I will talk to you about rudimentary logic-based problems. Then we will talk about recursion-based problems. Then we will talk about some data structure-based problems, right? So there are, the key thing is this. The moment a problem is given to you, you need to know what type of a problem it is. Because based on the type of the problem, we'll apply different logic. And this is where I'm going to make you code at least a few hundred problems on logic. We'll really become very good at our logic-based thinking and problem solving. I'll tell you, once you know this approach and once you apply it for 200 problems, you're going to become really, really good. Rudimentary means basic, okay? So once we master that, then we'll go into recursion. Recursion is super important, and also data structures are super important. So I'll be covering enough that easily you will be able to crack any of the companies that come into your campus or the ones that you face outside as well, right? It's all in the techniques and the approach of how to do the problem solving. All my experience I will share with you. Anyway, so these are the fundamental things that we will be learning. Only after this, we will start object-oriented programming in Java. We're going to spend a whole lot of time because we're going to master O programming. Same thing you will see. We will need about close to about 25-30 days to understand in Java, but we'll learn the same thing in Python in a week's time. Why? Because the same fundamentals are going to be upheld. You will see. All right. So then we learn exception handling. Then we learn, the most important data structures topic, collections, input and output, and a very, very important topic called multi-threading, right? So these are some of the topics. Sorry, today's class has been a little bore, not too many jokes or whatnot, but every class we will see it'll be more, more fun. I also need to kind of understand how do we go about this monologue kind of a thing. I hate monologues, guys. I do not like talking like this for 1 hour. I really would like to see you and hear you, but that's okay. Now, this is what is our future. All right. So now that we know where we are headed, let's not waste any time. Let's jump in. Okay. And where are we going to jump in is this part. Now I know I've been going on for 40 minutes or so. Allow me another 20 minutes, right? So let me begin this topic. Then I'll open the fora for you to ask me questions, right? So I'm sure you might have some doubts and I'll hear all of it and we'll answer them as well. Okay, cool. So let's begin. So where are we now? And again, I've told you now, some of you are new to Java program structure. Don't worry about it. Assume that there is a main function where you can write statements. And what are we going to learn now is the unit statement. And what is the unit statement? Is the ability to create a variable. So let's start. So we already defined what a variable is, right? Give a small brief. I already gave the small brief, right? So I already showed you the example where we're going to write the code. Don't worry, I'll make sure you understand it. So we already defined what a variable is, right? Variable is nothing but, it's a container, right? It's a container which can hold data. That's all, right? And typically it's a container in memory that can hold data. Very, very brief, silly definition, if you will, right? And a very generic definition. But let's make it more specific, right? A variable is a container in memory that can hold data. Yes, fine. All right. What kind of data can it hold? What kind of container are we talking about? Which memory are we talking about? How big is this container? Like, for example, if I have this, it can only hold, like, let's say some liquid till the liquid fills it up. After that, if I want to hold more liquid, if I keep pouring it, it will outpour and it will spill over, right? So which means there is some amount of data that this container can hold. Is there something like that? So we need to figure it out. So I'm going to take a step back. Some of you asked me to give a brief. I'll do that as well. Remember, where does our program begin from? Which function? Main function, right? So main is the place, and do not worry what is outside of the main and all that for now. Main is the place where we said we're going to write statements, right? So I'll explain what statements we'll be starting off with from variables point of view. So like this, we'll have a number of statements, but let's try to understand how this execution is going to happen to these statements, right? These statements have to be executed. Remember, all of this we code in some .java file, right? A .java file is an extension where you write your English code, and assume we have coded it. There is some class definition and all that. Let's not bother about it right now. So we coded it. Next, what do? We compile. Again, just be okay with the high level knowledge today. You compile, meaning you take your x.java, pass it to your Java-C compiler, and what is it you get is an x.class. A .class file is the result of compilation in the Java world, and it is called dash code. Dash code, guys. No, not bit, not byte, byte code. Yes, absolutely right. So bytecode is the result of compiling a .java file. I'll repeat. You code in English in a .java file. You pass it through a compiler. Compiler converts it into a format called bytecode. All our English commands will be converted to bytecode commands. Why? Because remember this, Java is an interpreter based language. So again, some of you don't know what an interpreter is, don't worry about it. Basically, after compiling, we want to run the program. Now, how do you run it? You invoke the program called JVM, and what is it we pass as an input to this JVM is your bytecode, right? I'll repeat. You code x.java, compile it, get the bytecode as a result, right? And what is this bytecode containing? Our commands only, except that it's not in English format, it is in bytecode format. Don't worry about what the format is, I'll show you. Once you have gotten the bytecode format, what do? You can run this program. How do you run this program? You run a software called interpreter. Well, I know many of you know this already, that JVM has an interpreter. It's not the interpreter, but anyways, this JVM acts as an interpreter. You run this program, and what do you give as an input to it? The bytecode. And what does this interpreter do? Convert it into machine code. Very good. And it executes it, right? So I'll repeat. Once you have the bytecode, you pass it through the JVM, it'll convert it into the underlying machine specific machine code, and it executes it. Bottom line is, we now know at a very high level, again, the nitty-gritties are not known yet. Very high level, we know how to how to write the code, compile the code, run the code. Super. So we are following top-down approach. Top-down approach means what? You are standing very far and look at a building. It looks chotu, but you can make out the features. Then you go nearby, then you can understand all the bigger things, how all the brick, mortar, pillar, how it connects to the bigger whole. It's a zoom in, zoom out approach we talked about in one of the classes. Anyway, so I'll repeat. You code x.java, bunch of statements. Where do you code it? Inside the main function. What do you do after that? Compile the x.java through a compiler software to a bytecode. And once the bytecode is resulted in, then you pass that bytecode through an interpreter software, which converts the bytecode into machine code and executes it for us. Now, I know many of you know more details than this. This is good enough for today. If some of you have more questions on it, don't worry, hold on to that. You will understand it when you go through the recap. Having said that, we have understood at a brief, at a high level, how to code, compile, and run. Now, this is the important thing I want to tell you. This JVM, it converts it into machine code and executes. Now, what does it execute? The JVM executes all the statements in main function. So let's understand that a little bit deeper. How do I compile? Using Java-C. How do I run the Java program? Using Java, right? So how do I run it is something like this. Please pay attention, guys. Now, until now it was okay, but now I want you to really pay attention. So x.class is the file which contains bytecode. So Java means the JVM. We are calling the JVM, giving x, the name of this class, as an input to it. And we are asking, Nodappa, execute mod. Please run this program for us. Execute this bytecode for us. That's what we're requesting, right? Now, what does the JVM do? Please note, this is where our learning is super important. And where do we type all these, by the way? Let's say, assuming we have some Windows, Windows machine, you will have something like this, right? So C:programs or whatever we would have created, that is where we would have created x.java. We compile it to x.class, and then we go about invoking javax. Now, some of you, if you want to quickly see that, I can show that to you as well, so that we are clear about it, right? So again, see what do you have? So I'm going to save this, and I'll save it in, again, ignore all these folders and whatnot for now. I'll anyway walk you through it, and we'll do our first lab very soon. Only when you do it, you'll be in a much better place. So I already have hello world.java. I'll replace it. Okay, cool. Okay, so again, ignore the things outside of main. In the main, ignore the header of main. Just focus on this statement. What this statement does is it prints whatever is there in double quotes to the monitor. But what should I do first? Compile. I know many of you know, please bear with me on the recap. So I'm already in that same folder where I have saved this hello world.java. First, what should I do? Compile. How do I compile? Javac. What should I give as input? The file name. File name is hello world.java. If we have made any mistakes, compiler will throw errors. No errors. So that means the compilation is done. And you can see what is resulted in is hello world.class. So we had a hello world.java. We got the hello world.class. Now I can run it. How do I run it? Java space hello world, right? The moment I do Java space hello world, please note, whatever are there earlier to main, after main, none of them has been touched. It is only what is there inside the main that has gotten executed. And that to what? System.out.println hello re means hello re has been printed and the program has ended, right? Everybody with me? Everybody is okay so far? All right, just the initial stuff is a little boring, guys. Bear with me. I'll soon get to the interesting stuff right away. So, and then I'll give you a break. So, system.out.println hello re. So, if at all I want to change it, no problem. Henry, howdy, Kemcho, whatever it is, right? So you can type in whatever you want in double quotes. Now I've changed my code. If you have changed your code and that code change should take effect, what is it you have to do again? Again, you have to recompile, meaning compile again. So invoke the Javac, give the file name. It would have now create the new bytecode, right? Again, run Java. What is Java? JVM. Again, give the input to the file name, hello world, and run it. And there you go. Whatever are the changes, Henry, howdy, Kemcho, whatever we had typed out will be printed out. So that means what? We know the place where we can write our instructions. So the one thing I want to tell you is this. So by the way, like this, you can have any number of instructions. Now. So you can have Henry, whatever, right? So Egidira, right? In Kannada, it is how are you, right? And what's up? And whatever, right? Tata, bye bye. Right? So like this, you can have any number of statements. I know it's all very silly. I know you know this, but I don't want to take a chance, right? So allow me to go from scratch. Again, I compile, no errors. Again, I run, and you'll see as many SOPs I had. We call this SOP, system.out.println in short. As many SOPs, 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 SOPs, 4 outputs, right? Which means all the 4 statements got executed. In what order? You see the order? Henry first, Egidira next, was up, Tata bye bye last. Which means it is in the same order we have written here. No surprises there. It is as we could expect it, but still it is important to note, all right, that somehow what has happened now is when I've invoked Java space hello world, the JVM has entered this main and started executing one statement at a time in the order we have coded it. I'll repeat. The JVM has entered the main method. Other methods, other class, it is not touching anything. It has entered the so-called main method and executed each statement one at a time and executes all of them. Only when it executes all of them will the program end. Very silly, I know you know, but that's what it is. All right, cool. Now, what do we call this? So we need to come up with some nomenclature here. Very, very important, right? So when you invoke Java Hello World, what happens? Well, I'll tell you. When you invoke Java Hello World, you see, when you invoke Java X, what is executed? First, please understand, how many programs are executed whenever you execute a Java program? I want to ask you a question. Tell me, guys, how many programs are executed when you execute a Java program? Silly, no, it is. How many programs are executed when you are executing Java program? Answer is there only. How many are executed? How many, guys? One. One is wrong. It's not one. That's why it's a trick question. Four. Somebody said, in Java there is a 4 magical number. When you don't know the number, say 4. Right? So jokes aside. Now there are two programs, right? Many of you got that. 2 programs. What are the 2, sir? I have coded only 1 program. Where are the 2 programs? No, not the source and class. Anybody? I'll repeat again. You have coded the .java file with instructions. You have compiled it already. You now have this .class file. Pass this through the JVM and it runs. We saw the output. Nana, what are the 2 programs that are running here? Every Java program is executed as 2 programs. Which ones? I know some of you said it. I think Chandana or somebody said it. That's right. No, I'll tell you. So remember this. This is a very subtle thing, very basic also. You would know this, but it's important we nail this, right? When you invoke Java space, right? Java, hit enter. What is this? What is Java? This java.exe or whatever, na? It's a program, right? This Java or Java C, when I type, you get so many, all these options, whatever we discussed earlier on, right? You get so many options. What is that? Java C is what? Java is what? They are also programs only, na? They are also programs. But then who are executing those programs? Are they Java built programs? The question I'm asking you is java.exe and javac.exe are java.exe and javac.exe Java programs? Yes or no? Entara question keltira sir. Java is Java interpreter, Java G is Java compiler. Are they Java program? Yes or no? Yes or no, guys? How I wish I could hear you. No, answer is wrong. They are not Java programs. They are not at all Java programs. Answer is you have Java interpreter, Java compiler. They are not Java programs. No, they are not Java programs. Yes, very good. They are C, C++ part native code built programs. They are machine code programs. Please note, this java.exe has a name Java there, but it's actually in machine code format. javac.exe is in machine code format. You see, yeah, I can increase the volume if you want. Just give me a second, guys. Some of you are saying I should increase the volume. There you go. All right, is this okay? I hope I'm not bursting into your mind and your ears. All right, cool, thanks. All right, cool. Let's continue, guys. Yeah, so if you have any problem, guys, tell me, because the whole point is you should be able to listen easily and see easily, okay? Any problem? Let me know. So don't just say one thing. Sir, ella chanagide. If audio is good, video is good. Only I have a problem with the person speaking. Berevaru yaru ilva nimmalli. Okay, as long as you don't have that complaint, I am perfectly fine with obliging anything else that you have as a requirement. Again, I'll explain. Don't worry, I'll explain again. So java.exe, javac.exe, any .exe file, they are machine code programs. All right. Thanks, Tushar. So they are machine code programs, and yes, they are written in C and C++ actually. All right. So your Java interpreter, Java compiler, they are not built in Java. They are actually built in C, C++. But again, that's for another discussion. Let's not bother about it now. But more importantly, when I run this, which program am I running first? Is Java program, meaning the JVM program. And to that JVM program, I am giving my file name as input. All right. So when I say Java space X, what is actually happening is java.exe is being executed first. By who? Please note, all machine code programs are executed by who? Whose responsibility is it to execute machine code programs? CS guys, computer science guys, you know this. Not the processor first. No, that's later. No, not JVM. Whose it is the OS, you see, very good. Please note, your OS is the fellow, the Karamat guy, I mean the Karta guy, right? It is the OS who executes java.exe. I'll repeat, when you invoke java space x, what is happening is java.exe is executed by the OS first. And when any program is executed by the OS, what happens? Well, again, computer science guys, you would know this. When you invoke any program and ask the OS to execute it, what does the OS do? Again, not going through all the details. Yes, it brings the processor, gives it some instructions, program counter, and so on and so forth, registers and all that. I'll not bore you with that. We don't need to know that as well. But what does the OS do is this. Any program you ask it to execute, and how? Either you type Java like this, etc., or it could be as simple as, I go here and I double click. For example, I click on Opera, right? The moment I click on Opera, what's happening? Opera has run now. Opera software or Opera browser has run, right? So I click on calendar. What is this? Calendar software has run. Who is executing all this? OS. Any program you want to execute, you got to go via the OS, right? And when the OS executes any program, the first thing it does is it gives the program some memory. It gives the program some memory. So it gives the program the memory and basically it creates what we call as a process, right? The program, whatever program it is executed as a process. Bear with me, guys. I know it's a little, it's turning out to be a little boring. Just hold on for a few minutes. So I'll repeat, any program that you ask the OS to execute, that the OS will execute it as a process. And for any process, so that means what? If I open, for example, this is Chrome, right? I open Chrome, execute it as a process, right? I open one more window, depending on the browser, it might be opened as a new process, right? So each program is executed as a process. Every process has its own memory. Now, this is what we need to understand. Of course, it has its own program counter, registers and all that. Let's not worry about that. Bottom line, any program you ask the OS to execute, it will run the program by giving it some memory. Now, what is the immediate question that should come to our mind? Remember, we have taken an oath in a way that we are not going to learn anything by assumptions. Rather, we are going to ask questions. So what would be the first question that should come to our mind? If OS is giving some memory, and who is this giving to? JVM. What should be the first question that should come to our mind? Anybody? Which memory? How much? Very good questions. Both are important questions, right? How much memory, right? So who manages the memory is OS, guys. And what memory we are talking about? Random access memory. Like my system has 16 GB RAM, for example, right? Who is managing the 16 GB? Who is managing the processor? Who is managing the hardware? OS fellow, right? And we talked about this. Our physical body is like the computer, right? And the OS is like our mind, right? So the mind manages all the, which hand should go here, which hand should go here. Is not decided by the hand. It is decided by the OS. Same way, it is the OS which manages every program that is executed as a process, and to every process, some amount of memory is given. We don't know how much. It totally depends at runtime how much memory is given. Let us say, for the sake of discussion, 100 MB memory is given. Okay, let's say for the sake of discussion, 100 MB memory, and we are only talking about random access memory. Nah? So if 100 memory is given, now let's come back before we take a small break. What program is being executed? JVM, not our program. JVM is being executed. Who is executing JVM? OS. What is the OS giving to the JVM? Memory. How much memory it is giving? Some X number of memory, let's say 100 MB. Now, JVM comes alive. So the first program that starts running is JVM. Now, what does the JVM do? Array, it has been given some memory. Nah? The first thing it does, is it compartmentalizes the memory. Remember, we talked about an example where you go to a PG or you go to a hotel. What do you do first? You're carrying your suitcase. The first thing you do is remove all the things from your suitcase and put it into different compartments, right? Because it's easy to access them. Same way, the OS takes the memory, the JVM takes the memory and creates compartments. Now take a guess. How many compartments? How many? 4. 4 compartments, right? Very good. So I'll repeat. The OS executes the JVM as a process, and what it is given as an input with input memory. And what does the JVM do? Creates 4 compartments. And what are the 4 compartments? They are called, many of you might know already, stack, heap, miscellaneous, and other. 4 memory areas. These are super important, guys. Some of us may be thinking, sir, well, I already learned Java. I don't need to know all this. I could write programs and compile and run. Why do I need all this? Array, you need to know. This is what is happening internally. You have to know how does the JVM function internally. How does every Java program work internally. If you can understand how internals work, then you have understood all the external application world as well. So stack, heap, miscellaneous, and other. 4 memory areas which the JVM will create. My question to you. Stack is not a queue. We are not talking about data structures here. These are just names. You know, just because somebody is named a Terminator doesn't mean he should become Terminator, no? Or if somebody, like for me, you know, I know some of you know this joke. It's a silly one, but I got reminded, right? Because this is a good question, by the way. Is the stack going to work like a stack? You know, many of you know stack is a data structure that offers last in, first out manner. Here, I'm not talking about data structures. What are these 4? Names. It's like, my name is Vikram. Vikram means somebody who is unafraid, who has courage. But in reality, I am the pookless fellow. You see, I used to tell this earlier as well, that my sister, who is close to 5 years younger than me, you know, she used to take bombs in her hand and light it in Diwali time and throw it, and you know, hooray, she would jump. And me, who is 5 years older to her, would be under the cot because I was very afraid. Imagine how much of Vikram I am, right? Jokes aside, what we are talking about stack here is just the name. By the way, though somebody asked, is the stack going to behave like a stack? Yes, it behaves like a stack. But here we are talking about the name because there is additional associations there. It's a stack area. It's not just a stack. But let's get to that later. But a good question, all right? So, yeah. So stack, heap, miscellaneous, and other 4 memory areas, all right? Now, some of you are thinking, sir, when will our program get executed? Yes. So remember again that when you invoke the Java program, Java space X, java.exe is executed by the OS as a process. I need you to remember this. This process is given some memory. That memory is compartmentalized into 4 compartments. Array, tell me here, if 100 MB memory is given, what are the split up of the memories? Stack, heap, miscellaneous, and others. 4 memories. 25, 25, 25, 25. Yes? No. Don't assume. Ask a question, man. How do you know? Ila sir, adonu 4 andri 100 divided by 4 25 gottu nange. Don't assume. I mean, you're not incorrect in thinking that, but don't assume. Better ask question. Yar gottu? Who knows? 100 MB memory is given. I'll tell you. We cannot know the exact value, but one thing is for sure, it's not distributed equally. In fact, the biggest memory area is the heap fellow. He takes up about 80% of the memory. Roughly 80 MB, 75 to 80 MB, all right? Is given to heap. Then in the rest of the things, it will be split up majorly into stack and very briefly into miscellaneous and other. We don't need to know exact numbers, all right? A, we don't need to know the exact amount of memory OS gives the JVM. B, we don't need to know exactly what is the split up amongst the 4 compartments. But what we should know is which one takes the maximum size is heap. It's going to be important for us. All right. After all these are done, the JVM has now come alive. What will the JVM Yappa do? Will JVM fellow do? Now the JVM will open up our program. Remember, we have given our program as an input. Now, our program has not started yet. Now the JVM will open our code x.class, you see, and run through the entire code that is there. Hello world.class contains the entire thing. It will run through the code to search for main function. Please note, main is the starting point of program execution. So you might have any number of methods in your program. The JVM cares only about main, right? So it checks, is there a main function there? If yes, the JVM will enter it. Now, this is what we started, right, earlier on. But what does it mean enter? I'll tell you. What does the JVM create? Please understand, I know I'm throwing a lot of words today itself, but this is going to become super important for us as we go along. The JVM creates what we call as control flow. What is control flow? Control flow, or also popularly called flow of control. What is this? It is the path the JVM takes through our code to execute. All right, I'll repeat. The path the JVM takes through our code to execute is called the flow of control. I mean, just to give you an analogy, it's like, you know, when you play a video game, your character will start somewhere. Whatever character you have, it will start from some place. That place is main method. There might be many levels, many different places, but typically your character, and I'm talking about a 2D like game, not like a Fortnite or a PUBG or whatever, right? So it typically starts in a known location. That is your main, you see, and wherever the character is going and you're controlling it, let's say, you can see what is happening there. That is the flow of control. You see, wherever the character goes, things happen. In a similar way, control flow is nothing but the path the JVM takes through our code, and that is where execution happens, right? So where are we? We just said when we do Java space hello world. So just to recap before we take a small break, guys, I know you've been listening for quite a long time. So when I say Java space hello world, remember, there is a very famous saying, जो दिखती है वो नहीं है, जो है वो नहीं दिखता, right? I'm very poor in Hindi, so you can laugh, but what it means is that there are many things that happen internally. All right, I'll explain what control flow is again, so for some of you, but you need to understand the internals. You know, this is true not only with Java or, you know, this language or programming or computer science. It's true with life too, right? Like many of us, at least I never understood when I will feel happy, when I will feel sad, what uplifts my mood, what, you know, puts my mood down. Sometimes I would wake up and I would be out of mood. And sometimes my friend says something and I would be in mood or out of mood. So I used to always think, you know, why am I like this? And the reason is because we have not spent enough time to understand what affects our emotions. If we can understand that, then maybe we can stop something that is going to affect us negatively, right? And that's what is the whole funda today called behavioral science, where we understand why we feel what we feel. Can we focus our mind on the topic on hand and give it full attention? If you can give full attention to what you're doing, the chances of success increases drastically. But you're listening to me and your mind is thinking about, I don't know, some movie, or, you know, I am feeling hungry, I want to eat something. Break this guy is not giving break. If you're thinking about all this, then you lose what is being talked about, what you're hearing, isn't it? So at a minimum, what we talk about, you should comprehend. So bear with me. I will give you a break. My apologies for not doing so 10 minutes ago. Usually 1 hour, I'll give you the break, right? So just let me hit this logical point though, which is when you say Java space hello world, what is happening? You are, how many programs are getting executed? 2. Which is the first program that is executed? Java, java.exe in your Windows. Who executes java.exe? OS. And what does OS do when it executes any program? It executes it as a, say it aloud, process, right? And what is given to the process? Memory. How much? We don't know, but some amount of memory. And which is this process of? JVM. And what does the JVM do when it takes in this memory? First thing it does is what? Compartmentalize. How many compartments? 4. How much is each compartment size? Don't know. Which is the biggest fellow? Heap. And what does the JVM do after it creates the stack, heap, miscellaneous, and other. The JVM creates control flow. How many control flows will it create? One control flow first. All right. And what does this control flow do now? This control flow is gonna go in to the main method. The JVM will open your file, search all the code we have written for this main function. Once it gets a match, allows this control flow to enter inside, and wherever the control flow goes, what happens? Code gets executed, right? Whatever is the code we have written will get executed, and voila, SOP, Henry, howdy, Engidira, WhatsApp, Tata, bye bye. All of these 4 statements are executed one at a time by this so-called control flow. Are you with me, guys? Okay, I want to hear you guys, right? So I'm gonna, let's see where this flow is. This control, the Zoom guy has many bugs. Just give me a second. All right, so you've been listening to me for quite some time with full of attention, rapt attention according to me. So I want to hear some questions from you. Give me a second. So I'm allowing you to unmute yourself, guys. Please be wary of the sound and noise around you. If there is a lot of noise, please do not unmute yourself. All right. Yeah. So question, guys. Question means to ask me questions. Anybody has doubts, please ask. I would like to hear from you one at a time. Okay, if please mute yourself and then unmute and ask a question, right? So one question, what if you have an error in the program, right? Good question. So what if there is an error in the program? There are 2 kinds of errors, right? 2 kinds of errors: syntactic errors, runtime errors. Syntactic errors are the errors where we make mistake in our coding itself, right? Like for example, look at this code. You know, I copy pasted this wrongly, right? System.out.println. Let me remove all this, right? Or something like this, some silly thing. All right. So I have this. This is a well formatted statement, but by mistake, I forgot the dot. Right now there is an error. So what kind of error this is a syntactic error. And who is the governor of syntactic errors? Who checks? Everybody knows. Compiler, right? So this is what we call as compile time errors then, right? So as you can see, system.out.println, compiler is saying, you know, out println ante, I don't understand. So please help me understand this, right? So it points exactly at the place where the error is. We can look at it and fix the error. Remember, Java is a sensitive language, a case sensitive language, which means even if I were to say println with a capital P, that's also an error, right? I try to compile, compiler comes back and shouts, you need a capital P. I don't understand this. So that means we need to fix it. So this is a compile time error, an error which we make, something funny. So an error where we make a mistake in our code. The second kind of an error is not a compile time error. Just give me a second, guys. So it is a runtime error, right? A runtime error. So there you go. Compilation succeeded, right? A runtime error is where your code has been compiled successfully, but at runtime, the JVM is unable to execute your command. JVM is unable to execute your code. When that happens, boom, your program will crash, right? The program will crash. I'll just show you now. Now is not the time to look at these errors, but the question was asked, so I wanted to answer. So something like this. I have, for example, I know many of you know this, so I'll use that example. Imagine I is equal to int I equal to 10. I'm not even declared I. I'm going to do that. I'm not even talked about int and all that. I'm going to do that after the break. Int I equal to 10 and some int j is equal to 0. So system.out.println, okay, I divided by j. Slash operator is nothing but division, right? So I'm dividing. What am I dividing? 10 divided by 0. And I'm printing the result to the monitor. What is the answer?
Divide by 0 error.
Okay, very good. Very good. Guys, you need to You need to be wary of your. I'm gonna mute you guys. Hold on. Okay. All right, my apologies for that. This is called a runtime error. You see, where Zoom call is going on and you open the microphone and the entire world of noise comes into our life and universe. I'm just pulling a leg. So if you see the output now, system.out.println and I divided by j. Mathematically, what is the answer? I know many of you know this, you typed it out as well. 10 divided by 0 mathematically is infinity. It's not an error actually, but this fails, right? And I'll explain this deeply when I take you through operators in 2 more classes from now. Look at this, I compile, compilation succeeds. I run, and as rightly said by many of you, boom, there is an error. It is not a 0 division error, by the way, all right? It's not that. There is something else that is happening, which we'll understand later when we talk about exception handling, but there is something called exception, and it is called arithmetic exception, and there is a message called divide by 0. It's not a logical error. Logically, this is perfect code, right? I mean, why wouldn't you want? Logic is what? Anything that is based on know-how, based on how things work in the real world, right? 10 divided by 0 is a perfectly known mathematical operation, right? I'm sure all of you know this. What is 10 divided by 0? What is the result? It is not unknown. It is not your roti and naan. It is infinity, right? Infinity. And why is it infinity? We know this, right? If you have division is what? Division is nothing but repetitive subtraction, right? Like just multiplication is repetitive addition. So my favorite example is that about a cake. You have a 10-piece cake and you divide it by 2 means what? What does it mean actually? How many times you can take 2 pieces from the 10-piece cake to have 0 cake, no cake, right? You have 10 pieces of cake, you take 2, you took it once, then you have 8, you take 2, you take 2, you take 2, you take 2. 5 times if you take 2 times, then you have no cake left. That's why the answer is 5, right? 10 divided by 2. But if I have now a 10-piece cake and nobody is willing to eat it, how many times can I keep taking 0 out of this cake for this cake to become 0? The cake will never become 0. Boom, infinity, right? So simple virtual cake, I know. So that's infinity for you, right? So logically, this is not a problem. The problem is with the operator and the problem is with the data types. Again, little premature. Day after tomorrow, I'll explain this, right? But I just wanted to showcase that this is a runtime error. And runtime errors, again, just from a name, you remember this. Runtime errors typically in Java are called exceptions. Same thing is true in other languages also, many of the other languages as well. Good. Anybody else has any other question? Please ask. Anybody? Before I ask you a break question. You said there are 2 programs executed. One is java.exe and which is the other? Which is the other program, guys? That's an important one. When I say Java space hello world, I said there are 2 programs executed. Which are the 2 programs? One is java.exe. That is the JVM. Which is the other one? Other is hello world, our program. Hello world dot class, right? That's the second program. Good. Anything else? What is the main role of operators? Operators is used to manipulate the data in variables. I'll showcase it to you one step at a time. Which app to download practicing Java in Windows, right? So again, I've covered this already. I'll walk you through that, give you the tools, give you the links, just go through that and download, all right? Explain system.out.println. Don't worry about it now, guys. Just think that system.out.println is print. It's a command to print. All right. Whatever you give in double quotes, it will happily echo it on the monitor. That's good enough to know for today. Otherwise, we will understand what is system, what is out to, what is inno, what is println, what is print, what happens if I don't have the quotes. Everything we'll understand. Right. Don't use IDs now, guys. I've already told you this. Let us not use Eclipse or Java IntelliJ or Kava ID or whatever. Now, we will learn to use Eclipse, but after having mastered fundamentals of programming, right? Which is probably about 20 days down the line. JavaC also gets executed in a similar way to JVM. Yes, it does. JavaC is executed like JVM itself. OS executes it. The Java C program takes the input of our file, goes through the contents, converts high level English to bytecode, creates that .class file and ends. Can we use Atom? You can use Atom, you can use any ID you want, but not from day one. From day one, we use this kind of an ID, Notepad++ kind of an ID. Totally 3 programs. Oh, there are, see, okay, this is an important question. The question is, are 3 programs executed or 2 programs executed? Please not. When I invoke Java space hello world, it's only 2 programs, right? Earlier you might have executed compiler, but that compiler is not executing now. Now what is getting executed? Only java.exe, that is the JVM and hello world. What happens if you don't code main? Your program will not run. If I simply, again, we'll talk about this a little later down the line, but if I were to call this main, not main, I'll call it, what's the big deal, right? Now, question to Java guys. If I compile this, will it compile or not? Will it compile or not? No. You're wrong. It will 100% compile. Because compiler doesn't care about your method name. Who searches for the main? JVM, not compiler. Compiler follows rules. All right. So you see now, I run and there is an error. What is the error? Main method not found in class hello world. Please look at JVM. Please define the main method as public static void main. So as of now, we don't know this fully yet. No main, no execution. Your code might compile, it will not run. And yes, divided by 0 was an exception. Somebody asked. After execution, what happens to the memory? Very good question. After remember who is executing or what statements are executed. What statements are executed is wherever the flow of control travels, right? The flow of control enters the main, one statement at a time it executes. After all the statements of the main is executed, the flow of control comes out of the main. Once it comes out of the main, this is important. Once it comes out of the main, our program has ended. You see, our program has ended. Once our program ends, now who is still alive? JVM is alive. Remember this, the entire purpose of JVM is only one. What is the purpose of JVM? To execute the program we have asked it to. What is the program we have asked it to execute? Hello world. Now hello world program is over. It's executed, it's done. So the JVM shuts down. I'll repeat. The moment you invoke the JVM, give it a hello world or any Java program to execute, the JVM creates a control flow, enters the main method, no Java execution. All right. And there are some exceptions to that rule. I'll talk to you about that later. But no main method, no execution. If there is a main method, JVM creates the control flow, enters the main, executes the statements one at a time, one statement at a time. Once all the statements are executed, control comes out of this main. You see, this is the boundary of the main. It finishes the main. Once it finishes, our program is dead. Very important question, in fact, is to ask the question of life cycle. The most important question in software industry, in any topic you learn, is what is the life cycle? The time, how, it's like if somebody were to ask you what and all you want to do, it all depends or what can one do? It all depends on the time we have. And I'm not talking about our life itself. That is one aspect. You are in a company. Within that time that you are in the company, you can do something. You are with a friend. Within the time you are there with a friend, you can do something. So what we can do is a function of this life cycle, the birth to death in a way, right? So very, very important to ask this question. What is the life cycle of JVM? What is the life cycle of our Java program? So what does life cycle talk about? Birth and death, right? So let's answer this question. What is the life cycle of the JVM? When does the JVM come alive, be born? The moment we type Java space hello world, boom, first thing that is born is JVM. And who gives birth to JVM? OS. OS executes JVM and gives it the memory. What are you confused about, Sindhu? Can you explain your doubt? Then I can understand again. Then I can explain it to you. So java.exe is a program, guys. It's already been written. Huh? We have downloaded the JVM and all that. So we are running this now. When you run any program, double click any icon, you are running a program. Who is running it? OS is running it. And OS gives it some memory. So JVM comes alive first, then it opens our code, searches for the main, creates the control flow enters. So JVM is born first, right? Then our program is born. Who dies first? Who dies first? Which one ends first? No, not JVM. Java program ends first, because Java program is where our main method is. Once main method ends, our program is dead. Once our program dies, there is no more purpose for the JVM. JVM shuts down. But remember, what was given to the JVM in the beginning? Memory. It was given memory, correct? That memory will now be given back to the OS. Remember this? The moment the JVM shuts down, whatever 100 MB, 1000 MB, whatever the memory was, it was taken on loan. That will be given back to the OS. That's when both of them have been shut down. So if I run this again, as you can see, this is where the OS is running, meaning JVM has not started. Then we start the JVM, give the program, something happens, and after that control is back to the OS, which means JVM, our program is also dead, JVM is also dead, OS is given back the memory. We have been very slow today, but I hope these fundamentals will stick and it will help you remember things, guys, right? So although I'm not at all happy with the delivery of this class, this is such a fun topic actually, but for some reason it didn't come out as funny as I thought it would. There has to be always some fun. So in that context, I'm going to ask you some question. Okay. So let's change the mood a little bit. Giving back memory means the program is not stored. No, there is no storing of any program. There is nothing called storing. All right. It just, so physically think about it like this. The JVM opens the file, control flow goes through all the code, executes it, and our program ends, JVM shuts down, gives it all the memory. Nothing is stored anywhere, right? All right, guys, it's question time. So I'm going to ask you some question. What about the memory? The memory will give back the memory to the OS, guys. It had got some lump sum, 100 MB, 1000 MB, that it will give it back to the OS. All right, question for you guys. So I know, most of you know that what is the question I'm going to ask you is a lateral thinking one. Lateral thinking one is where I give you a scenario. It could be a totally outrageous scenario, and I'll ask you what happened. You should not answer. Rather, you should ask me questions. What kind of questions? Yes, no questions. And based on that, you need to arrive at the answer. You will understand the moment you play it if you are new to it. So, question. And by the way, only today we will have so much of, I'll be talking in every class, but more so I'll be showing and demonstrating as well, right? So, and there'll be more fun. You will see it from tomorrow. But let me ask you the question now. Which one should I ask? No. Some of you are asking how much memory the OS will give depending on 4 partitions. Nothing. It has nothing got to do with that. The OS will give some amount of memory depending on the OS, how much memory is available to the OS. It's a complicated answer. There's no direct answer to it. Basically, right now, think of it as it will give it some amount of memory. It has nothing got to do with JVM, nothing got to do with Java. It will give it some amount of memory. However, you can learn later how to ask for more memory, right? From the OS point of view. Good. Some of you, if I have not answered the questions, please ask me again and I'll answer it. But now it's my question time. Let me ask you. Let me think which one I want to ask you now. Okay. I want to ask you something which can be answered quickly. We have already run out of time. So give me a second. That one is too long. That one is too long. There is, all right, for the sake of quickness, I'll ask you this. Simple one. A man. Now listen to this, guys. We'll come back to Java in a minute. All right. I'll just continue off, guys, and finish it off very, very quickly, right? Sorry, I didn't give you a break, but tomorrow I will. Let's make it a habit that every 1 hour we take a few minutes break. It'll help. And today also, I'm going to end sooner than, I'm not going to take the full 2.5 hours. So allow me to just continue off. Thank you. So question for you. A man, okay, is found dead. A man is found dead. Now this man, he is found dead next to a swimming pool. I'll repeat. A man is found dead next to a swimming pool and he has a towel. Now where will you think the towel be? Towel will be on his torso, on his body, nah? No. The towel is on his face. I'll repeat. A man is dead. Where is he? Next to the swimming pool. And there is a towel covering his face. Explain what happened. That's the question. Explain what happened. But remember, don't guess. Don't guess. I'm telling you, I am asking you, explain what happened. Don't guess. You can make 1,000 guesses and it could all be right, but don't guess. Instead, ask me questions. Yes or no questions. So some of you have asked, was he murdered? No. Is his body wet? Good question. No. Is he a swimmer? Doesn't matter. Now, how will you swim outside swimming pool, man? He's outside the swimming pool. Okay. So whether to teach his kids swimming, there is a lot of assumption there. First, he should know swimming. Second, he should have kids. Third, they should be there to learn swimming from him. Right? Don't assume anything, guys. Ask me fundamental questions. Right? Is he aged? So I'm going to answer some of your questions. Is he aged? Yeah, he's aged, but not like an old guy. He's about 40. Okay. Next question was, who was he accompanied with? Good question. Nobody. Who found him dead there? Some strangers. It was sunny, so he covered his face. So you already know the answer, man. Don't assume. Don't guess. Don't guess. Okay. Was he wearing dress? Why you are imagining he was not wearing dress? I'm just kidding. It's a good question. Was he wearing a dress? Right? And the answer is yes. He was fully dressed. He was fully dressed and yet he had a towel on his face. Was his eyes open? He's dead fellow, man. Doesn't matter. Eyes open or not. Any mark on his neck? No. There's no mark on his neck. Did he slip? No, he didn't slip. Whether he's lying on the ground? Yes, the ground next to the swimming pool. Is anyone nearby? Doesn't matter. Why was he there near the swimming pool? That is the answer to the question. Is water there in the swimming pool? Good question. All right. If swimming pool is there, nobody said there is water, no? Why do you assume? Ask question. Is there water in the swimming pool? Oh, water is there. Are there any marks on him? Yes, there are marks on him. Is he bleeding? Yes. Why you are all concentrating on neck? I don't know. Shivaji Suratkul movie. I don't know about that. Did he cover his face to protect from something? Smart. The answer is yes. Due to sunrise. Sunrise coffee? Just kidding. Is he acting like dead? No, he's actually dead. Did he have hydrophobia? No. So, lot of questions. Now, here is the thing, guys. You need to focus on the scenario on hand. And only based on that, you should ask questions, right? Are there marks on the body? Yes. He has wound throughout his body. Throughout his body, there is wound. Remember, his body is not wet. He is wearing full dress. There is a question. Is the towel wet? Answer is yes. Towel is wet. Towel is wet, not his body, and it is not a natural death. And nobody murdered him. Anything else? Hold on. I have to see your answers. Did he slip and fall? Is it suicide? Can I hear from you? I really like to hear you guys, but you need to be careful from your voice. Anybody wants to shout out an answer? I've allowed you to unmute yourself.
So you told he has marks on him. What marks specifically?
His entire body has marks, man. Wound, actually.
Is there any relationship with his death and the swimming pool?
Yes, there is a relationship with death and the swimming pool.
Someone is standing nearby?
Someone is standing nearby. No, although I don't.
Was he a worker?
He worked somewhere. Doesn't really matter though. Towel is wetted to treat the wounds. No, no, no. Okay, let me
Does
tell you
towel
this.
have blood stains?
Blood stains. The towel does not have blood stains, or maybe it
His
can.
body?
His body does. So the question, somebody
The
guess.
towel is protecting him from sun.
Usually, I mean, how will the towel protect? It's not so. It doesn't not like a.
What marks, sir? You told marks are all over his body. What marks particularly? Burn marks
wound,
or
basically wound marks. Wound marks. So basically, somebody has guessed, right? Did he fall from the building?
So the strangers who have found him dead has covered his face, sir, with towel.
No, no, no. You are telling me, but no. So the question is, did the strangers put towel on his face? Ayo, papa, on muka, and let nobody see. That's a good question, by the way.
Is the
answer
day
is no.
summer season or what?
Doesn't matter. Season doesn't matter, right? So where are we now? I'll repeat. Coconut hit the head. No.
Did he enter the swimming pool before death?
No, he did not enter the swimming pool. Nice. Baswaraj points to you.
Is there any building nearby?
Yes, it is. The swimming pool is next to a building. It is
Did he
next
fall
to
from the building?
Yes, he fell from the building. That's exactly what happened. So I'll repeat. There is a building, an apartment complex, and a swimming pool. All right. Usually, it's like in Bangalore. No, you go to any of the apartment. There is an apartment, and next to the apartment there is swimming pool. I have never understood why. Because if you are going to be swimming, only some 50-floor people will be drinking chai and looking at you. You know, it's crazy why the swimming pools are always open in Bangalore. But anyway, so there was a swimming pool next to the flat, and this guy jumped and he died. But question, why?
But why the
But why was
towel is
towel
wet?
wet?
Why the towel is wet? You have to tell me now. You have to connect the dots. Somebody asked me this already, and you're right. He's a civil engineer. Why, man? It matters? No, it doesn't matter.
There in swimming pool.
The building with fire, sir?
Yeah, good question. Was the building on fire? Yes, that's what happened. You see, once you keep asking, so I know.
Sir, water is there in swimming pool.
Water is there. Water is very much there in the swimming pool. So I'll tell you the answer. You guys have already guessed it, right?
He's protecting from smoke.
Very good.
From
Excellent.
the
Excellent. That's what.
If someone is standing on the top of the
No, I'll tell you the answer, guys. And I'll just mute you guys for a minute. So the answer came out already, right? So here is the thing. All these questions will have some crazy answers, but no matter how crazy the answer is, if you just ask the questions without assuming, without assumptions, we will lead to it. That's the beauty of lateral thinking. Very similar to how we'll be doing programming as well. So what is the answer? Here is the story, guys. This guy was there on the 40th floor of a building, right? And below was swimming pool. Not 40th floor, some 20th floor of a building. And below was swimming pool, all right? One day, unfortunately, what happens is his flat catches fire. That entire floor catches fire. And because it catches fire, he has to exit. Unfortunately, the fire is in his entrance, so he cannot go there, cannot go to the lift, to the stairs, whatnot. So he has a balcony, and what does the balcony face? The swimming pool. So he looks at the swimming pool. But here is the thing. The fire is blazing, and he has to get to the balcony and then jump. But he knows that he has seen many English movies where, the number one reason why people die in fire is not because of burning, but because of lack of oxygen. So what does he do? He takes a towel, dips it in water, and puts that around his face. By the way, remember this. This is a life skill. A wet towel in your face will help you not breathe the smoke in. You see? And then what does he do? He puts the towel, and then he looks at the swimming pool and he jumps. Papa for him. Swimming pool is there. Water is there. But his aim is a little bad. So instead of jumping into the pool, little to the side. So he falls to his death. Again, just a joke. Okay. So, and then he's splattered on the ground and he dies. Again, as I said, do not worry about the scenario and how crazy it is. Just focus on the way you can answer it. A, lateral thinking. B, start with assumptions, ask questions. Never guess. Guessing is the worst because our guess might not be right. You guys are fantastic, right? How could he see already the towel is covered in the face? Well, I mean, towel covered the face, but he could, it's not like, he has completely closed his eyes also, right? So he could see and he could jump, right? Anyway, good point. Now, so let's come back, guys, to the topic on hand. Just give me 1 second. So just give me a second, guys. All right. Now, today I'm going to end the session in another 15 minutes or so, if you give me that time. Right, by 7:30, let me finish it off. Already you've been listening to me crackle for a long time, but it's important. Remember this, guys. I know you attend many classes. Some of you are attending aptitude, some of you are in college and whatnot, right? But here is the thing. What we discuss in the class is super important. Now, some of you might feel, 2 hours, after an hour, sir, I get bored. Sometimes you're not, making jokes, I get bored. It's very common. Very, very common for all of us to get bored. But here is the thing. If you just pay attention, no matter how boring the topic is, no matter how boring I am, please pay attention. I promise you this. Just stick with these classes for a week. And then if you're not interested, leave the course. We're not even going to charge you in the beginning anyways, right? So you will see the amount of difference it is going to do for you, for your learning, for your programming. Once I can make you get interested in programming, my job is done. You will see that you will blaze forth and you will become way better than me and others. And, that's what I want. I want to see you guys become rock solid developers, right? So I'm going to make sure that when will you ask you to pay after the month is over for those of you who are joined from college, right? So in case some of you are finding it not interesting, my apologies, but don't focus on the interest. By the way, I can easily take 2-3 hours and entertain you like anything, okay? And, have fun. But what's the point? Do you want fun or do you want impact, right? So I want to go the middle path, try to marry both. We'll have a little bit of fun, but more impact, all right? Yes. So guys, if you ask me questions on payment, training, this, that, I will again get distracted. I'll give you the notes, whatever I've written, plus certain questions and all that. I'll give you every day, the same day. After the class, I'll mail it or push it in the groups, right? I hope all of you are in WhatsApp groups. If you're not, we will add you and I'll give it to you. So all I want you to do for these 2 hours is A, listen, and B, answer questions, right? That's all I want you to do. I don't want you to take too many notes. As it is hard. You're sitting somewhere, some noise is there and all that. I want you to just focus on what I say, ask me questions, and everything else I'll do for you. I'll send you the notes, I'll give you the videos, I'll give you the demonstration, I'll give you the exercises, everything, all right? Awesome. So one brief thing to start with, yeah, you have to share the email ID, but not right away. I'm going to open up a form for that. As of now, if you're in one of the WhatsApp groups, we have created many WhatsApp groups. If you're not in the WhatsApp group, just message me, all right? This is my number. And we will add you to it, right? So that's my name, this is my number. Okay, some of you have some other radar questions. Okay, let me answer that. Maybe tomorrow we can start off with the topic on variables and whatnot. I thought today I would have finished half of variables, but that's okay. Whatever we have discussed on control statements and briefly recapped the whole thing, that still works. Well, the placements work like this. Some of you have asked me about placements, so I will talk to you about it. The placements work like this. Every week we'll have tests. We will measure your performance, but we typically have what we call as Uttara internal test, right? So that happens typically every month. 4 weeks, we have 4 tests, we measure you. But more importantly, every month we conduct a test called Uttara internal test. Now, I do not believe in ranking, meaning this person is first rank, this person is second rank, etc. So this test will comprise of theory, MCQs, a couple of written theory, more importantly, program. Whatever we have done will only be asked. I'm not going to ask you on OS or networking or something else. Everything that we would have talked about, we will Okay, many of you are asking me about payment. All right, so I'm going to tell it to you. Okay, it's for those of you who we have selected from college, it's 10,000 rupees plus taxes for the entire course. It's a 40,000 rupees course. Okay, that we have subsidized because of Corona time for everybody. Okay, so that's the fees. So many of you are asking it, and I feel bad if I don't answer. But you don't need to worry about it now, right? So I'll open it up later and you can attend, and you are happy, and some of you can attend the free part of the training and drop off. If you're not interested in doing the whole course, I am perfectly fine with it. I am only interested in those of you who are interested in sticking with me throughout the full course and getting placed in good companies, because that's what I'm trying to get you here. So I didn't want the price to be a barrier. That's why we have completely reduced the price. This, by the way, when I started Java training in 2004, and that time we had 10,000 as the fees, right? 10,000 plus taxes as the fees. 2004, you can imagine inflation and whatnot. Today, our course fees is about 40K or so. And having said that, you know, it's a subsidized fees for all of you, right? Depending on where you are coming from. Chosen people will get it at 10,000. Some of you might get it at 12,000, whatever the difference is, right? Again, you know what? I don't want to talk to you about the placements and the payment and all that now. Let's have that discussion separately. Right now, it is free for every one of you. Please attend it. Okay. First, make sure that you're interested in attending it. But I'll tell you the fees is not going to be more than 10 to 12,000 rupees. Okay. That's it. We will not ask you after 3 weeks or something, 40,000, 50,000. No, I don't want the fees to be a barrier for anybody to attend the course. And more importantly, I want to ensure that, those of you who are looking out for placements get good opportunities. So let me talk to you about placements for a minute, right? We will not do offline classes now, guys. This is online, right? Now, if, as I told you in the beginning, some miraculous way we get some vaccination and COVID, there is no problem. Then I don't mind doing offline classes. And even if I do offline, the class will be streamed online also. So you can attend it in any way. Guys, you're asking me repeat questions. So please focus. If you are 2021, 2022, you can avail the placements on the year you pass out. Our placement is for people who have passed out and are ready to join the company immediately, right? All the companies who come for us, let me tell you what the kind of companies they are, right? There are only two kinds of companies, service and product, right? And they only care, majority of them, about 80% of the companies only care about how you do in our test, Uttara internal test. Of course, they will have their tests, but our scores matter a lot because we would have seen you for 3-4 months now. So it doesn't matter whether you're 2019 pass out, 18 pass out, 20 pass out, but you should be a pass out, meaning you should be available. You can't say, sir, morning to evening I'll go to college, but I want a job. How does that work, right? So you will clearly, so 2021 guys, we will open up placements for you in June end 2021. 2022 guys, we'll open up the placements for you in June 2022. Every year, June and July. Only this year, because of Corona time, everybody's, things have gone ulta pulta. But every year, June and July, we have at least 50 companies who come and recruit from us, right? And the placements are huge because that's when we get many people who would have finished the engineering, right? So 2021, 2022 is for later. Now, for the rest of you, you have to do well in the test. If you have good percentage, it helps. But we do not cut you off in taking our test based on any percentage, nor do we cut you off in pushing you to companies based on your percentage or year of passing or degree or subject. I care only about one thing. How well have you learned the topic we have taught you? How good are you in programming? If you are good in programming, it is assured that you will have a couple of very good offers in your hand, right? So if you have done well in the training, also in your education, fantastic. If you have not, well, too bad. Just focus on the course. We don't have any finals. You don't have any final SEM in college. So by the way, if you are 2021 pass out and you have time in your hands, we will still place you. You should be available every day to do a job. Like for example, we took some people from Ambedkar College and we placed them who are 2020 pass outs, but we placed them in January. So January to July, they are actually working full time because their college was not there, right? So if your college is not there, we will place you. Simple. It doesn't matter which year pass out you are. I will not complete Java this month, guys. It's a little hard. I might need about a month and a half, right? And then a month to finish Python, and then a month to finish the frameworks along with Angular. You can, so important question has been asked, how long can you attend placements through us? So let me repeat the process again for you. Week after week we'll have test. Every month we'll have Uttara internal test. Uttara internal test will have theory. Okay, you got to listen to me, guys. It'll have theory, MCQ, programming part, and a mock interview. Every one of you will get interviewed. All right, and we will give you the score. We will have the score. That same score will be released to the companies as well, and they will come and look at you. Right? If you are in the top 100, you will 100% get placed first. The top people get placed first, right? What happens if you did not do well in the test? No worries, you can take the test again. All right, but you have to do well in the test. You cannot say, I have not done well in the test and get me a job. It's not going to work. If you do well in the test, your chances of getting offered are very high. But everybody will get opportunities. Even the person who is at the last will get opportunities. Remember, we can only get you opportunities. Conversion depends on you. All right. But if you're at the top, I will make it my commitment to talk to companies personally and make sure they give you the opportunity, no matter what your background is. And so that you can get inroads. And my aim is, if you are already capable of getting a 3 lakh job, you should at least get a 5 lakh job. If you're already capable of getting a 4 lakh job, we should aim you for a 6 lakh job. So I want to ensure that you get better than what you can get on your own, right? Otherwise, what's the point, right? So that's the whole point. Yes, you can attend placements after you finish your education, right? How do you manage learning Java in depth like this? By attending this course, I'll teach you, no worry. And exactly the same way we'll learn Python, full in depth. I've not even started. You will see it. Okay. Well, it's not, if somebody is experienced, don't worry, it won't be a barrier. Internship, I am very particular of whom I choose for internship. And because we place you in top companies, we have open, we can push you in companies like Amazon, Google also. And there are, there's no dearth of good companies where we can push you. But you have to show me that you are good. If you are good in the test and you are good in programming, then why not? We'll push all of you for internships and placements, right? Tomorrow's class timings, thank you for asking, same time, 5:30 to 7:30. Can you name some of the companies? What difference does it make? I don't understand. But anyway, so there are product companies, there are service companies, there is Exathought, there is Story Harris, there is, name them, I say, Mindtree, HCL. We have service run of the mill companies. I'm not even going to name all these Capgemini and all those things. Let me tell you, our aim is better. Okay. Our aim is for that you should get into a better company than the Infosys, TCSs, Capgeminis. I'm not saying they're bad, but my aim for you is you should get into better ones. So if you are good, so somebody asked me, I'm from so and so pass out, will I get a job? The answer is I can't tell you. Because who can get you a job is you. It depends what from today till next 3 months, what are you going to do? If you do very well in our tests, then I can tell you, assuredly you will get it without a shadow of doubt. All right. But if you don't do well, then I can't help you. No 60% mandatory and all that in every company. Don't worry about all that. All right. No, the test is for everybody. 20, 21, 22, 23, 26 also. Okay. A test is for everybody. But who will we push for placements are those who are available. Admission letter and payment receipt and all we'll give you. Don't worry. Okay. We'll mail you that. That process is in parallel. It's going on. Yes, you will get a certificate, Uttara training certificate and a Uttara project certificate. All right. The project certificate is given to those who submit the project. Somebody asked me, will we teach Agile and all? Of course we will. Remember, I am also I'm a part of the startup. I'm in the founding team as well. And we build software, and it's all built on Agile methodology. All the best practices I have learned, I'm gonna give it to you. All right. So it's not just Java test, Java, Python, whatever I've trained you on. Okay. Will the certificate be physical or digital? I'll give you digitally, you print it out. Then it becomes physical. Okay. It's all auto-signed anyways. Period of the course for offline classes, same, 3.5 months is what we need, right? What if we don't get placed after 3.5 months? Can we attend placements after 3.5 months? Good question. You can keep on attending our placements until you get placed. It could be 3 months, 4 months, 6 months, 1 year, 2 years, I don't care. If you have done well in our test, we will keep on pushing you for placements until you get placed. No worries there. All right. Thank you for asking. All right, guys, I think we have hit 7:30. Any other questions you have? Do you provide placement training? Yes, it's called Java course. Okay, this course is the placement training, and it's not just placement training. It forms you as a developer, full-fledged developer. If you become a full-fledged developer, getting placed is a dhul, side effect. Okay, getting placed is not going to be a problem if you do well in the course. Okay. Aptitude classes will start soon. September 7th, another aptitude batch is starting for the people in this batch. So I will tell you all about it. I will tell you all about my startup, what we are working on, and it's an app. It's a mobile app. I'll showcase it to you guys. You can use it for free for a while, and I have a whole lot of things there to tell you as well. Anyway, so thank you very much, guys, for today. I'll see you tomorrow evening sharp at 5:30, and we will start off with the classes. Okay, unmute. Somebody is saying unmute. Okay, you want to say something? Give me a second. Okay, there you go. Anybody wants to say something, you can say it.
ಎಷ್ಟು ದಿನ ಆಯ್ತು ಸರ್ ಈ ಕೋರ್ಸ್ ಶುರುವಾಗಿ?
4ನೇ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ಆಗಿರೋದು ರೀ, ಇದು 5ನೇ ಕ್ಲಾಸು. ಆ 4 ಕ್ಲಾಸದ್ದು ವಿಡಿಯೋ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಕೊಡ್ತೀವಿ, ನೋಡಿ ಡೌಟ್ಸ್ ಇದ್ರೆ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪ್ಲೇನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ.
Sir.
Somebody asked, do I teach Android? Yes, I teach Android as well. I have all my Android sessions. I'll give it to everybody who participates in this course.
Sir, I got selected from my college regarding scholarship in Uttara, so I also need to pay that amount.
Yes, you need to pay, but it is after a month, man. All the people who have got selected in the scholarship, we have promised you a month's free training, and that is this month. We will offer you the training. At the end of it, there are a couple of companies who will recruit also. If you get placed, you don't need to pay anything. But if you want to finish the full course, it's a 3.5 month course, then you will have to pay.
So in that month, in first month, you will teach only Java.
Yes, Java, a little bit of Python as well.
ಹಲೋ ಸರ್.
Yeah.
ಶ್ರೀರಾಮ್ ಸರ್ ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಿರೋದು.
Hey, Sriram.
ಸರ್ ಅದು ಸಾಫ್ಟ್ ಸ್ಕಿಲ್ ಹೇಳ್ಕೊಡ್ತೀರಾ ಸರ್?
Yes, but
Communication skill.
yeah. So what happens is we have this amazing set of trainers who are partnered with. They will do the soft skill part. I will tell you more about behavioral things, and we will conduct mock interviews for you, through which we will tell you what you are doing right or wrong. Okay. Remember, guys, all of these are important, but what is more important is your ability to code. I am telling you, don't worry about anything else. Your percentage, year of passing, how active your communication skills, looks, height, weight, none of that matters. There is only one thing that matters. How good can you code? And that's what I'm going to teach you. Just focus on that. Become good at it. If you become really good at coding, please come and hold my collar if we don't place you. Okay? Open challenge. If you become good at programming and do well in our tests, doesn't matter who you are, what background you are from, we will place you in good companies. That is my wish. And that's my job. So that's what we'll be doing. All right? Excellent. So thank you very much, guys. It was very nice talking to you today. So tomorrow I'll go a little faster. This was very, very slow for us. I will recap it also. But tomorrow will be a slightly faster session, 5:30 to 7:30. We'll start off with variables, go through in depth about variables in Java. All right? Yeah, you can't pay in installments, man. It's $10,000 we are asking you. Okay? It's a cost of a movie of 10 people going into it. Okay? So there is no installment. you will be asked to pay at one shot. Please make arrangements for it. Thank you very much, guys. Good night. Take care of yourselves. Be safe wherever you go. Bye.
Thank you, sir.